All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's your good friend Pozzible here, and I hit the wrong button, but that's okay. I'm still here to grant you a brand new movie review and to announce that I'm entering kind of a secret war that's going on between Marvel and DC. As you all know, Marvel and DC are two comic book industries that are really coming into their own in terms of being a media mecca, and to be a media mecca means you've got to overcome several different components of the media. So, for example, we all know that if you were to watch movies, you would say Marvel's winning. We'll see if Batman versus Superman coming out in March will change that. But right now, there's no question Marvel's winning that one. There can be a debate as to whether Marvel or DC are winning the TV wars. For example, there's Gotham, Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow versus Agents of Shield. However, there's also Daredevil and Jessica Jones. So it's kind of a neck and neck there, kind of a person's own personal opinion. With that said, what I'm really trying to talk about here is the animated movies that are made by these companies. Both of them very good, very stellar. The best part about these animated movies is that these movies are made exactly for the fans, for better or for worse, and we'll discuss that in a second, why that can be a problem. But we're going to be looking at the animated features that have come out recently and in a few years gone by, on what DC and Marvel have released in terms of pure content. In other words, they're not going to change the mythos to satisfy people who are not fans of the show. These are direct to video usually. They may get shown at a few rare theaters, special theaters, but they won't be shown as big a theater as they deserve. These are some of the better stories, the better action, the better writing. They're just cartoons. And that may be one of the problems that people have with it. But deep down, this is one of the best things that Marvel comes out with. For example, Avengers Confidential, we have Black Widow teaming up with the Punisher. Not too uncommon to have superheroes team up. Now, I know you see a lot of other people in there. They don't come until the end. The show starts off, you've got the Punisher doing what he does best, killing the bad guys who are allowing guns to get on the street. So he's going after arms dealers. He corners one and gets some information out of him when S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up. And who should be helping S.H.I.E.L.D. but the Black Widow, who gets into a battle with Frank Castle. That's one thing you always have to love about these superhero meetings. It's always a battle of one-on-one between them and between heroes as opposed to villains. So that's always very nice. The guy was able to get away, but Frank apparently still has the information, so they make a deal with him. You go after the dealers, find out what they're up to, and try to stop them. But for Frank, they try to tell him not to kill anybody, even though Frank can't help himself. So the whole thing is their mission to find out what's going on and who's doing it, and it gets deeper and deeper into the conspiracy as to who these people are and why these people have certain weapons that appear only S.H.I.E.L.D. should have. So it gets more interesting as time goes on, as the conspiracy unravels. One of the best parts about this is that you get these characters without all the introductions. And while that can be nice for people I didn't need to know who Iron Man was, or Hulk, or Thor. And of course, there's always a little tidbit as to their motivation, their origin story. They just put a little bit in there. Not as much as a live-action movie would, but just a touch. Now, then they throw in all these bad guys with all their powers. And some of them I knew. Some of them I didn't know. And others I was like, oh, isn't that? Oh, no, it's not him, is it? Oh, well, who knows who it is. So, like I said, this is purely meant for the fans. This is not a movie meant for people who have a basic understanding of Iron Man. These are for people who read the comics. And they're trying to bring the comics to life. And they're trying to bring special stories in for people who would enjoy something like this. These are, for the most part, at this time, most of these are standalone features, okay? You're not going to get a lot of sequels. You're not going to get a lot of trilogies. This was a one-off. And most of them, that's what they are. This is a one-time adventure with all the action you would expect from the comic books, with the outfits and the characters looking and sounding like they would in the comic books. Again, they didn't dumb it down for the audience. They made sure that this was a pure comic story, and that's what I love about these. One complaint that I do have about these shows, though, is this. The action can be just a little bit too far. Frank Castle wears thick Kevlar, so he's not a dodger. He's not somebody who can dodge a bullet very effectively. But that's what they show in this movie sometimes. It's like, it's a little off, but that's okay. Also, these are a little bit more gruesome than your average comic book. So these are definitely meant for the older comic book people. I wouldn't recommend some 8-year-old or some 10-year-old watching this movie. Maybe when they're like 15 or something, Just saying in general that age is a factor here. This movie is excellent, though. It's definitely a see it, especially if you're a comic book fan, or if you want somebody who is considering being a comic book fan. Show it to them. Discuss who the characters are and have some fun with it. Definitely see it. Definitely enjoy it. I think you'll like it too. All right, guys, that's it for me for today. We'll see you at the theaters.